Thanks for tuning on in, everybody. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Love you guys. If you guys like the Tobin and Leroy radio show, check us on out. YouTube.com/TheTicketMiami. That is where you guys can find our shenanigans every single morning. We are streamed live all 4 hours on Twitch. The channel there is twitch.tv/7iTicket in your web browser or 7iTicket on your Twitch app if you guys want to consume that. If you guys are just here just to hang out with me, I love you guys, man. Appreciate that. That's really, really nice of you. So this is interesting. We haven't heard much from this individual up until this point. Kyle Lowry, he was on Vince Carter's podcast. Vince Carter's I think it's a new podcast. I think he used to do one. I feel like he used to do one with the Hawks, and now he's got kind of his own deal going on. But he was on Vince Carter's show and was talking about some various things, a lot of reflecting on time with the Raptors. You would say two great Raptors. They were going to do a lot of Raptors talk, but there was some Heat content that I found pretty interesting as far as what his insight was into last year. We haven't heard much. The last we heard from Kyle Lowry was leaving the podium, talking about he thought it was a wasted year last year, and that a thing that Pat Riley disagreed with. And now we really, from his standpoint, he's not on social media himself much. We're seeing a lot from his filmographer and from his trainer and things like that. But and he looks like he's getting into tremendous shape. But giving you some thought on what his move to the Miami Heat was last year, here's a little bit of Kyle Lowry on why he wanted to play for Eric Spoelstra.
I always had a fond, relationship with Spo because me and Spo, we was in NBA Africa years before, and we kind of just hit it off. He had his young son who, shout out to him, cancer free. He's in remission. I don't know if you guys seen that. Shout him out. Yes, the Spoelstra family. I'm super, happy for that.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Me and him had a prior relationship, so me and Spo, I've always had a fond and. I probably now, like him coaching me, man, I can't imagine some of the stuff he said about me. I can't imagine. So I act like I played for him the whole time. But Spo is one of a kind, people, and he's really good. But the influence that he basically, and I tell you, we had a meeting in Vegas when I first, agreed to the deal we signed. I said, look, listen, coach, I understand the Miami Heat culture. I understand the Miami Heat way. I do, but I was like,
I remember this conversation. That's why I'm laughing. I remember you telling me this.
I said, but I'm a grown ass man. I'm just a grown man thing. So, you go. But Spo was so receptive and so appreciative of it because I never do anything. I never did anything that harmed what they did.
There you have it, Kyle Lowry, on why he wanted to play for Eric Spoelstra. And, yeah, Spo was always, throughout the year, really complimentary, obviously, of Kyle Lowry, respectful of the game. They talked about that previous relationship before. But, the idea that he was, not going to go into the whole Heat culture thing, kind of interesting. I don't know if that just means he wanted to golf a lot. But, listen, Kyle had, one of the things that's been lost amongst this whole leaving on personal time and all that type of stuff, which he said, we talked a little bit about this in another video where he was talking that he's still dealing with that. And, maybe it'll be a thing going into next year too. You don't know, but he did have a lot of success with this Heat team, especially when Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo were out. I mean, this is a guy who was dealing with a lot of undrafted guys with Caleb Martin, Omer Yurtseven, and that whole crew, and really, did a fantastic job in keeping this team where they needed to be. Finished with the best record in the Eastern Conference, So it's, I think, missed that while there may have been a domino effect from missing the games and going into the playoffs, and maybe that, I think, maybe physically had an issue for Kyle Lowry. The regular season was fantastic for the most part. I mean, the whole pace that he kept with this team and all of that type of stuff really seemed to mesh with them well. And the whole point of being that guy who is setting up, Bam and Jimmy Butler and getting young guys better. He talked a little bit about this, and also a lot of praise for Gabe Vincent and thinks of what his game could be. Here's more Kyle Lowry on the Vince Carter show.
like Spo basically let me play, and like he said, Kyle, all I want, I said, Spo, you tell me what you. He said, I want us to be more up paced. I want us to do this. I want Jimmy to, and my goal was to just okay, cool. Let me figure out how I can make Tyler Hero better. I can make Bam Adebayo better. I can make Jimmy even more of a superstar. I can get Duncan Robinson going, and these undrafted guys, Max Strus and Caleb Martin coming on the 2-way. Gabe Vincent. That's my not
I
not
watched
saying
him.
that's my
I,
not
I
saying that's
watched
my
him in the
prime.
Olympics, bro. I watched him in the Olympics.
I'm not saying that's like, but that's the next. Hey, listen, come on. I'm gonna give you all this game. Listen, this is what you do. I don't want. I want every little knowledge that I can possibly pass on to Gabe. I gave Freddie, and I still give Freddie whatever like game. I talk to him. I give Gabe. Listen, what are you gonna do? Like, let's go work out. I see this, and these guys, these undrafted kids, these 2-way guys, they're just finding this niche and finding themselves. And all I can do as a pro is help them. And that's all I want to do is help them. Because at the end of the day, I want them to be able to provide for their family like I've been able to provide for my family.
And we saw from Gabe Vincent just the amazing jump that he had this year, and really having to be solidify those point guard skills even more and grow his game even more. We definitely saw a lot of that this year from Gabe. And he spoke, I think the last time Gabe Vincent was talking about this was when he was at Heat Camp and was discussing the idea that he was going to get some time this summer, he thinks, to work out with Kyle Lowry. Maybe that was the closing media day, whichever one it was. He said that he was going to try and get some time. Haven't seen that yet on at least on the gram, but maybe it's happened. I don't know. I have not seen him at the UFC facility working out with Kyle Lowry, which it gave me the goosies. I'm not going to lie. Kyle Lowry, it's like my worlds colliding. Kyle Lowry working out in the UFC facility is it's like it's two worlds meshing. I know I haven't seen him in the octagon yet, but it certainly was a thing that I enjoyed watching. And for Gabe Vincent, we saw this past year what a pain in the ass he was. And I think in a lot of people's minds, like, this guy, you never know. I certainly didn't know like what a guy can be in the playoffs, but he brought all of the factors of tenacity, toughness, basically made Trae Young weep at night thinking about the tough defense that he was playing on. Oh, he's too physical. And we remember the sly smile that Gabe Vincent had when that was going on. And, it just brings a delight to my face to think about Gabe Vincent just laughing at the idea of Trae and be like, oh, it's too physical out here. All right, well, I get, I don't know what to tell you. Trae Young got to get a safe word, dude. So getting that knowledge from Kyle Lowry is very valuable for him. It's valuable for a guy like for Tyler Hero too. We certainly saw Tyler, I think, take a big step with playmaking this year, especially the chemistry that I thought he had with Bam Adebayo. And I think that you don't give all credit to Kyle Lowry, but it certainly helps. It's certainly a positive thing that Tyler Hero is able to have that kind of a resource. He's always talking to guys when he was, especially in games he wasn't playing, but even games he was playing, like, just always in these guys' ear, always trying to grow that stuff. So that is a very valuable commodity with Kyle, no doubt. The other thing that he talked about was just the idea of handling trade rumors, which he certainly has been in because of the Kevin Durant thing. It's just salary-wise, that is going to be a thing. And so here is Kyle Lowry on handling trade rumors.
Listen, how I handle it is I don't pay attention to it. I understand. Listen, it's rumors until it happens.
Yes.
It's rumors until it happens.
Yes.
And there's nothing you can do about it if, hopefully you have a good enough agent who's on it and constant communication. But if it happens, it happens, and you move on. I say this: if a team trades for you, they want you. There's a reason they want you. There's a team. It's a reason they trade for you. You take it in stride and you move on. You be a professional because at the end of the day, you're still getting paid to be a professional athlete.
Yep. Well, he certainly went through some of that too in his final year in Toronto with the trade rumors going to Miami, and now being back with them is in a summer where, look, there's a lot. There's two people right now, and really one, who hasn't had to deal with any trade rumors, and that's Jimmy Butler. Bam has even had to deal with some trade rumors. Now, they don't seem like they're very they don't seem like they're very real trade rumors. They seem like they're just kind of out there. Your name's out there. How does the Kevin Durant trade happen? But everybody's in the Kevin. Like, everybody should just be in the room being like, who here was in a trade for Kevin Durant? And everybody will raise their hand. Everybody will raise their hand and say, yeah, that's me. I was in one. I was in one. So they're all kind of in that together. And I think even with a guy like Kyle Lowry, that can help, because it was spoken about with the James Harden thing back a couple of years ago, where Tyler and Duncan Robinson were in there and in a ton of rumors, and they talked about having a bond over that, and now you become almost numb to it, because it is a business. It is, and especially when it's a guy like Kevin Durant, I think that players, I don't think, will be as offended by it. It still sucks, I'm sure, to not know where your future may lay, and especially for a guy like Tyler Hero, who's trying to know when is that extension coming, because we haven't heard anything about it. It's gone eerily quiet. There's been really, really nothing. Kevin Durant, meeting with the owner last week reportedly, and Kyrie Irving now saying that he is. The reports are that he's happy with Brooklyn, or in a good place with Brooklyn. So maybe they are heading towards a more kumbaya place, and all that stuff's going to be put to bed. If that doesn't happen, there is a couple of things that are out there. One, Jay Crowder is out here liking Ira Winderman tweets, talking about a reunion or being a possible PJ Tucker replacement. So that's interesting. The fact that he's liked a couple of them. He clearly wants to get out of Phoenix, which is interesting, because Phoenix has been good. They had a bad ending to the season last year, but it is interesting that Jay Crowder, who saw himself as like the connective tissue of success, right? Like he is on the Heat. They go to the finals. He leaves the Heat, goes to the Suns. They go to the finals. And then last year they had the best record in the regular season, but now he wants to get out. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting thing that Jay Crowder is looking to leave the Phoenix Suns, and that he definitely very clearly seems to be wanting to go, because I don't know if he comes back. Are they going to give him another deal? I don't know if this is a financial thing or what the reasoning is for Jay Crowder. Maybe he just thinks Chris Paul's a pain in the ass. Plenty of teammates have in the past too, where they just want to get the hell away from Chris Paul. It's too much of him barking. But he did a lot of recruiting of Jay Crowder initially. We do know that Jimmy Butler likes Jay Crowder a lot, that when he was here initially, that he didn't want him to go anywhere for years. It's funny that Jimmy Butler has now done this with two power forwards, and the Heat have been like, yeah, but I gotta lock into them, dude. I don't know what to tell you. A lot of questions with that 4 spot. I am curious though, like, I think the Jay Crowder thing is the obvious play, right? Like, it's the obvious place to go. It's a comfort level. There's been some play there together. But I don't know. I feel like the Heat are looking other ways, Like, I really do feel like we have taken for granted how much the Heat have gotten out of their homegrown talent and what they can get from the guys that they develop. And you talk about Omer Yurtseven and Haywood Highsmith, and even Nikola Jovic, if he becomes something for this Heat team, and he is sticking around. I'm just talking about it in a run it box scenario. Did I call it run it back? I don't know what that was. A fancy art school? In a run it back scenario for this Miami Heat team, Jovic, I don't know. I don't know what his playing time will be for this team. Will it be 0? Will it be, him? He's very young. So do they trust him to go out there and be able to do all those big man things? Because one of the things with Jovic that he revealed in the summer league, and they're not letting him go play for Serbia. But one of the things that's fascinating is, he has handled a lot of his basketball career as a guard, basically, and getting used to all of these big man things that he has to do that they're going to require of him. And it does feel like when you play under Eric Spoelstra, the development as a big is a lot slower and takes a lot more steps than it does as a guard. We've seen him play young guards: Mario Chalmers, Tyler Hero, Norris Cole. Spo will play a guard. He'll put some youth out there. But when it comes to bigs, we talk Bam, Precious Achua, and the other ones that he's gone out there with. Like, it's a little bit more of a slow roll. So I'm curious to see what that development is going to be like for this team, and really what that answer will be. But I would be surprised. The Jay Crowder thing, I kind of feel is like they're in training camp and they really don't have faith that anything else is going to work out, and then they'll pull the trigger on that. Although Barry Jackson and Anthony Chang did point out that the salary is a little bit of a tough wiggle. Like, it's not an easy salary matchup to get Jay Crowder over here either. So that's another hurdle that they got to face. Speaking of Omer Yurtseven, though, looking fantastic in the offseason. I don't know if you guys have seen the recent photos of him on Instagram, but Big Yurt is looking pretty good. And, that year 2 in the system is always an interesting one where it's like this guy's been around. He knows what the team expects. He looks in physically great shape. I think we know that there are people in the Heat organization that would love for this team to play a little bit bigger. I know that my co-host, Leroy Horde, would love for a 7-footer to be on the floor with Bam Adebayo. I just don't know who is the spacer there. That's the thing that I'm interested in, right? We've seen Bam shooting more threes this offseason. So does he add that to his repertoire? We haven't really seen that from Yurt since the Summer League of last year. He didn't play in Summer League this year. So I don't know what that answer is there for this team in regards to who is the guy that can make that match work. But even if it's not playing alongside Bam, just getting some more minutes, I would love to see from I'm intrigued. But listen, I think we're all intrigued seeing what he was able to do in his stretch starting last year. I think we're all intrigued on what Omer Yurtseven could bring to this team and what giving him a regular role would mean for this team. Because I love Yurt. I mean, I love me some Dedmon. I love me the mechanic. Don't get me wrong, but I think we know what the mechanic is, right? We have an answer there. And is there a higher ceiling if you go with Big Yurt? Is there something a little bit more there that they can get out of it? So it's going to be an interesting thing to check out.